What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony, joined as always by Nate and Anthony.
Ooh, you mixed it up. We're here, baby.
Switch up.
You know what I was thinking, though? Is if someone tuned in for the first time, they wouldn't know whether if I'm Nate or if I'm Anthony.
That's true. You're Anthony. And Nate?
That's me, baby. You know now.
And that's Nate laughing. Yeah. And now you know.
If you know, you know. Now you know.
Yeah. What was that, Bill Nye? And now you know. Yeah, I'll put that in there right there.
Now you know.
But exciting times, as always. Back with some more nerdery. Back with another awesome band conversation. We had the boys from Charmer tonight.
We did. And this was in... Should we talk about how we got into them? I mean, I know we do at the beginning of the interview, but how did we get into them? How do we find them?
You posted like a reel or a TikTok. Who fucking knows? One of the many social media outlets that we have to post on so that people see our shit. A picture or pictures of records that had houses on it. And I think this just kind of hit the algorithm because of it. And somebody had posted, Noah, who follows us on Instagram, had posted this record. And I was like, well, Anthony says records with houses on it are good. I got to listen to this one too.
They hit different. They do hit different. Think about it.
Yep.
Think about all the records with houses on them. There's a sentimental element to it. They hit. They know what they're doing.
I saw the song Topanga Lawrence and said, I have to click on this. So, so we did. And the rest is history. We've been fans of the band since. And they're putting a record out. And we were like, let's see if they want to chat about it. And sure enough, they did. And it was a blast.
I love that that organic. Yeah, it's got a house on it. That just that counts as being vouched for.
Yeah,
I love it. But yeah, dude, the music stands for itself too. Super cool guys, great conversation. Music's phenomenal. We were lucky enough to get an advance of this record. As soon as they popped it in the car, I was like, "This is perfect driving music. This is perfect music to just like zone out to." And they really kind of dive into it on the fact that they really leveled up, I guess you'd say, on this record. Yeah, and I agree with that.
I think we said that, and I think they agreed.
Yeah.
They did, though. I mean, this is a level up.
Yeah,
I agree with us.
And we're talking about the new album, Downpour. It comes out soon, right? It comes out May 23rd on Counterintuitive Records. And if you're a fan of Charmer from the self-titled days into Ivy, you can see the progression from those records. That same progression, it exists with this album, with Downpour. Like, they do level up. I think when we talk about it, you get the whole backstory with the songwriting, the production, the confidence. David's right out front. It's a banger. So we had David and Neil on, and we love doing this. Like, this is why we do it. It's a companion. This is behind the music for a specific album. We do get into the history of the band, and just a cool convo. I'm glad this happened.
Me too. And, having done this now for the length of time that we have, and, 200 and whatever plus episodes on, 5+ years, getting all these cool stories behind these records, whether they be 20 years old, 25 years old, or coming out next week, coming out a month from now, it's amazing. Like, we're able to archive all this stuff with all these people who we never would have met otherwise, that we get to say, yeah, I've had an hour-long conversation with those guys. David and Neil were awesome. I really dig that record. I have way more context for it now than I did before as a casual music fan, because we're nerds and we love that shit. But those guys are great. This record is great. You absolutely are going to love it.
And catch them on tour with Arm's Length, right? They're heading out in June. So, new album, hitting some shows. Neil and David. Let's get into it. Charmer.
All right, we are joined by David and Neil of the band Charmer. Guys, how you doing?
Great. Thank you for having us.
We are stoked. And the way we found you was pretty organic through social media, but not through an algorithm necessarily. It was a follower of ours was posting records. And I think it was around the time that Anthony had posted something with like records with houses on them hit different. And your self-titled record has a house on it. And it popped up and I was like, well, I got to check it out. We're in the process of checking all these records out with houses on them. So I put it on, shout out Noah, who follows us on Instagram. And I was like, wow, these guys are awesome. Where have they been? Why have I not known about this? This is probably a couple of years ago now. Fast forward to today, we get co-signed, not an algorithm, not a label, not any of that crap. We get an actual person tell us people are awesome, bands are awesome, and we get to talk to you guys. So we're pretty stoked about that.
Oh, yeah.
Does that happen a lot? Just the organic I mean, with us as fans, I think it happens a lot, whether it's a recommendation, but I think that's the best way to find a band.
It's kind of tricky. Like, I don't know what it takes for someone to check out a new band because I'll have like a band, push in my face over and over and like see it every day. And I just like won't click it. I don't know what it is about it. So the fact that like it has to have something there that like I gravitate to, and I still don't know what that is. Honestly, it's probably just like my bandmates talking about stuff. That's like the most direct way for me to like check something out. Otherwise, I'll just skim past it. So like anyone that's finds us just like that, it's like thank you because I'm stubborn. I don't do that.
Well, in this case, it was someone that knows our tastes and was like, "Hey, check out this band," and that's what it takes. Although with Nate, we recommend bands. This motherfucker does not. Yeah, he doesn't check them out. He checks you guys out though.
It depends on the day, but yeah, I mean, if it's like, I think to your point, like Spotify or someone like press like put, hey, you might like this if you like this type of thing. You're like, yeah, you're creeping on me a little bit. But friends, like you really should take their word. So it is my bad for not taking these guys' word when we host a podcast together about music, especially.
You're way better than you used to be, and that leads us to tonight. Obviously, we all checked out you guys before the being able to listen to the new record, but we were all in, and then with a chance to talk to you, we were like, we have to. We're all three of us. You kind of fit right in the middle of stuff that we all love, so we were stoked to do that. So let's jump in just a little bit, get a little context for people that may not know you that listen to us. You guys are from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I gotta know, growing up, because we live in Maine, which Portland, Maine gets some shows, but sometimes gets nothing, especially in the dead of winter. Do you guys have shows there? Do you get people to come through, or do you have to travel, hours to get anywhere?
Like in this scene,
yeah.
Like in the 2000s, some bands did play up here, but it kind of fizzed out by the time we were doing anything.
For sure. Like we would need our parents to drive us.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I remember like Chiodos was here like in the mid 2000s, and they played maybe like a venue that fits 40 people.
Wow.
Damn.
That kind of stuff. And then the university that's here, there was a great group that our drummer was a part of and was super active in, and they did bring up some cool stuff like Minus the Bear and like Waves and like the 2010 era.
Yeah, that was probably the first show in the UP from like a band that was like modern, like in high school. Minus the Bear, I saw them in high school up here. And yeah, that was like the first band that played up here that wasn't like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts that I saw.
Nice.
That's badass though.
It was just cool, but they're not Minus the Bear.
Right. Good point.
Well, it's funny. Tony was like, "Yeah, they're from the Upper Peninsula," and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So I pulled the map. I'm like, "Oh, that's UP." Okay.
Yeah, there's really not like there is a cool scene here, and it does rotate with like the college, and it's always cool to see bands like pop up and be hungry, and we were that at one point for sure, but it goes in cycles, so it's like it's not like things are lasting very long. So yeah, it is a little different because otherwise we have to drive like 6 hours to Chicago or 7 hours to Detroit.
Damn.
Yeah. Something. And like we've done it, I'm sure. I mean, I can't speak for Neil, but like I'm sure we both had our situation where we did. I remember like one day leaving Marquette like 8 a.m. to go see Fall of Troy play in Detroit at like St. Andrews Hall, and we watched the show. And then we drove directly back home, and I think I got home at 5 a.m. and I had an exam at like 8 a.m.
Oh, dude.
It was like
for the love of the game, baby.
But yeah, it was like the doppelganger anniversary. I was like, I'm never gonna see him ever again. Because at that point, I thought they were gonna break up, or they were breaking up, or I can't remember the context. But that's like a perfect example. And like our drummer Nick is a fiend. He'll drive, across the world to see certain bands, like no question. So yeah. You got to just do it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
He'll leave recording to see the Misfits at MSG.
Yeah.
Wow. That happened?
Yeah, that happened during when we were recording our second album.
Damn. That's crazy.
Is that a big proponent on starting a band? Because there's just such a lack of shows on a local level that you just figured, hey, we'll do it ourselves and get out there in the circuit?
I don't know. Like Neil and I grew up like an hour apart from each other, and we both experienced very different UP scenes, really. Like Neil was in Sick, like post-hardcore bands and playing in VW halls
Yeah.
and driving to towns that have populations of like 4,000, 5,000, people in them. But people would come out to shows. Like people are always excited because when there's a show, like it's an event. So even if you're not a fan of the band, you're just gonna go.
Yeah. For some reason, hardcore shows have always seemed to like do all right in the UP.
I believe that. Yeah.
Well,
Especially
it's a-
all that
yeah.
Anthony's told me. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's a supply and demand thing, like because we're from Maine, and there's a venue like 3 hours north of us that could pull. Like on a random Tuesday night, there's 300 kids there. I'm like, there's not even 300 kids within a 100-mile radius, but they
Right.
show up. That's all there is to do. And then
Yeah.
down here, a lot of bands don't come through. We're in Portland, so we're about 2 hours north of Boston, and a lot of bands would come to Boston and then turn around, go the other way. So,
They're still
I think
doing
it's
that.
yeah, no, they're still doing that. But I think it's a supply and demand thing. Like in the UP, there's probably not
Right.
a lot popping off,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
just in general.
No, that's accurate.
I mean, I
We're
will say you
Fishing
get
in Lake Superior or something,
for sure that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I'm down to do.
Yeah, let's go.
So how did you guys get together then? You found each other from different scenes, it sounds like?
Well, I moved up here, and then
Yeah, I was going to college up here, and I was always just a big fan of music, and
yeah, I think I just saw you guys play.
yeah, Neil saw us play, and I was doing this thing at the time because I was just kind of trying to get more involved. So I was doing these things where I was like filming any artist I can think of in the area, and I would do these like I pretty much ripped off like Nervous Energies, and I was like, I'm going to try to showcase the music, and I would just for free go film anything. And Neil introduced himself after a Charmer show, and there was only a couple of them before he joined the band. And he came over, did one of those sessions. I'm pretty sure we went to the bar that night and closed it down, got along really well. And then, yeah, we started playing like probably that week.
Yeah, pretty quick.
And that was the first time, like people would always play music. I'd always have my friends play music with me, but that was like the first time I felt like I had like a partner, like to write with. I didn't play music until I was 18. And like I said, I was just like a big fan of it, but I could hardly play like power chords, So getting Neil involved just to me was like mind blowing because I have this competent, talented guitarist. I was like, oh, we can do so much more, all of a sudden. And it kind of definitely kicked me into gear as in getting as a better musician, and I just went from there.
What we've learned from just chatting with all kinds of bands is like the first iteration of a band is typically just like the dudes that are just in close proximity that it's just a bunch of dudes.
For sure.
Definitely.
Especially here, like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and like in a small scene like this too, it's like it's not hard to like figure out like who you could jam with, You're like, this person obviously like likes that type of music, and like those people listen to like granola folk music, and it's kind of easy to figure out who wants to rock and who isn't trying to.
Yeah.
So Neil, you saw Charmer. What was it about him that were like, I need to get involved in that shit?
I mean, it just sounded like stuff that I was like listening to at the time, and like it's it's rare that you see something like that in the UP where you're like, oh man, this is actually something I like. It's like there's stuff that's cool and like you enjoy it and it's live music and like I love that, but then it's like, oh, this is something that I would like be interested in writing or like playing and get involved with. But yeah, and that's kind of what it was. I saw the show and I was like, oh, this is actually like cool. This is like something I would like to see myself being a part of.
We like asking this question of bands, especially bands that have been around a little while. Like this isn't your first EP or your first LP. What do you remember the first Charmer show? And it's different for both of you, but do you remember the first show?
So I remember the first show with Neil.
How about the first show for you? The first ever Charmer show?
Oh, for
Charmer
sure.
gig.
For sure. The only reason I threw together a band is because Nick, who became our drummer a couple years after, we've been like lifelong friends, and there was a pop punk band that just formed with two kids like an hour and a half south from us called Hot Mulligan that wanted to play their first show ever. So they were driving to the big mecca of the UP, Marquette, to play it. And he's like, Dave, you write this kind of music, do you have a band? I was like, no, but I will.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And Neil already had like met some of those guys before, and And so the first show was, I can't even remember the other bands, but it was us and Hot Mulligan. And I remember that night, like they were pretty young. I think they were still in high school, haven't even graduated high school yet. And I remember they came to my college house and I just like fed them a bunch of booze and
Nice.
and it kind of went from there. And you know, obviously they skyrocketed. They're one of the hardest working. They might be the hardest working band right now. But and then we kind of just both grew from there.
Damn. So you didn't have a band name or anything. You're just like, fuck, we got to do this by this date.
Yep. So that's how Charmer happened. It was kind of just like last second. It was just kind of like writing a bunch of things down and being like, that's the one. Yeah. There was another guy in that group that ended up recording on the first two Charmer EPs. He lasted a bit longer, but I remember our name was almost They Might Be Pandas, like some like Warped Tour, like metalcore. Like that's what he was pulling for. And I was like, sure, maybe we'll do that. Cause I had no idea, you know, that it was going to be more than one show at the time.
You settled on a good name. Charmer's a good one. I like that.
I think so.
Better than Pandas.
Yeah, that would have been tough. That's a tougher one to
That would have
sell.
been a tough one. I think that would have been in the grave.
Pandas better than Hot Mulligan.
That's a good point, right? Like better than Blink 182. Like they're just names that it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So how many songs did you write before the gig? And how much time was it? A few weeks or something?
4 days.
4 days.
Wow.
4 days.
That's insanity.
I had songs. I had songs. My little acoustic guitar in my bedroom. Songs. 2 of those songs were on the first EP. One of those songs was Starship Tina, which ended up being released 3 years later on our self-titled, our first LP. So that was, you know, cooked for a while. And honestly, I think the other songs were completely dead in the water. Like, I don't know if they ever were played after that show. But we went through it. We played a set. We played like maybe 15 minutes.
Like
Did it pop off? Were people into it?
It's like, yeah, it was cool. People were into it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's one thing I will say about this area is like there's always a good energy at the shows. Like it goes back to like people are just excited that there's a show.
We can certainly relate to that because being from somewhere where there's not a ton of people, right? When you do have anything come through, you're like, all right, we got to go. Like we all, then you see all the people that you know that you've run into at different events like that in the past. And it's a mini reunion every time there's a show to go see, whether it be in a basement or at a small hole in the wall club or a bar or whatever. It's everybody's on board for that because those are our people, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we used to joke. We still joke like it's the best thing going on in this whole fucking state.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing else going on except for this.
I will say where you live, I love Portland, Maine, personally.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys know, but everyone says that is like the Marquette of the East Coast. We're like a smaller scale, like Portland, Maine. And I can't remember what venue I played, but it was like downtown, like some stateside theater or something. If that's a venue there, I don't know. It was
theater, yeah.
State theater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a super like nice downtown area with like cool shops and good food, and I loved it there because it kind of just reminded me of here.
Did you tour with Hot Mulligan?
I toured with Hot Mulligan for a while, but I also played in a band called Liquid Mike, and they were opening for
Wonder Years.
Yeah, Wonder Years.
Yeah,
And that's
we were at that show. Yeah,
oh, wow.
great show.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't introduce yourself.
No, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I was in that room. Our buddy Bob was, but he and I went that night because I think we flew to Detroit the next day. Anthony, was that last fall?
Yeah.
It was last fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great show.
That's crazy. We went to your town and you came to ours.
Yeah, pretty
We
much.
didn't get to Marquette. We went to Detroit.
Went to Michigan at least. Yeah, we were a lot closer. But yeah, no, I remember going to that show. That was a blast. That's one of our favorite places growing up. We've been living in that room for 20 plus years now.
So Neil, what was your first show?
Dude, I was trying to think about that when you guys brought it up, and it's
Yeah, we gave you time, Neil.
I
Come
feel
on.
like I remember playing an acoustic set a long time ago.
That might have been your first show.
That in Escanaba, was that it? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think we played like an acoustic set in a basement in Escanaba, the town I grew up in.
And that was also with Hot Mulligan.
Yeah.
And we covered the front bottoms, and I don't even know how we filled that set out.
I love when bands can
That was just
remember gigs, like exact gigs, and like certain things about it.
I don't know. I realize now as time goes on, like I feel like Neil's really good at it, and the other like Zach, our bassist, is so good at remembering specific gigs. But I don't. I always say I have a great memory, but when it comes to that, I just can't pinpoint stuff. Like
Get out.
Yeah, and it'll only get harder.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier.
You get older, you can play more gigs. Yeah, it all blends in.
Yeah, I can remember some cursed gigs for
Yeah.
sure. Like I feel like I remember like those are almost better than the good ones. It's like
Yeah.
so memorable.
I feel like that first show was kind of just the bands playing acoustic songs for each other, and like a few people. Like obviously, it was the first like band that I've been in a while, and it was in like the hometown that I grew up in, so I had some friends show up, but it was pretty small.
When Neil joins, does it shape the sound at all? Does the sound change up?
Big time.
Yeah.
I think everything just got like more melodic in a lot of ways. Also having like another talented like vocalist, that was huge for me. Yeah, and expanded. And he also brought in like great songs right off the bat. Like Neil was working on his own songs at the time. So like maybe that's what we were playing. I think we probably were playing like a couple of like Neil's original songs and then kind of combined them. And I feel like we played out those songs quite a bit in the early days.
For sure. Yeah, because I'm trying to think. We recorded after that.
We recorded that summer after that, our first EP.
We did like Tiger and
Frankie.
Yeah.
Which are cool songs. I always like say I want to re-record those things, but at the same time, it's just like, why wouldn't I not just make
Yeah.
like new stuff? Like that's what always happens. I'm like, that would be fun to do. And then when I have time to work on music, I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
So this would have been like what, 2017 probably?
2015.
15, yeah.
Wow.
2015. Yeah.
Crazy.
10 years, man. Like I said, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you aged me with that one when you dropped it right away.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all good.
But I mean, it must felt like you unlocked everything. It's like, all right, we kind of know what we're doing. We know what sound we want. We've got all this stuff to work with. And then we can start putting together music. And now you're 10 years in and you're, on the precipice of album LP3, which is pretty crazy.
It is, yeah. To look at it and like retrospectively, it's pretty crazy.
I don't know how much it's ever felt like it's been locked in. But yeah, definitely like we had a place to start for sure. We were like running with it.
Mm-hmm. And I get super fixated. Like I like dream big, and I'll just like if I get caught in an idea, I will just go until it happens. I feel like, and it's in a lot of ways it's like a curse. But yeah, I remember running off the energy. We played like 30 people and feel like kings,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, those people could have been anywhere in the world, but they were hanging with you. So,
For true.
Shout out Liberty, Kentucky.
Nice.
That's a good curse show.
That's a curse show.
I love when bands name gigs, like they have infamous names. It's like that's the show. Like we've heard that there was a show with like the ceiling caved in. That's the ceiling show,
Yeah.
Oh, there was a good one where the toilet like broke at this party and the pipe burst. And I kid you not, it looked like a bucket of water dropped directly on my pedal board in the basement of the show we were playing.
Oh, no.
And like,
pipe
I
show.
could not, I didn't even know how to respond. I was like, oh, okay.
That's tough.
It
Did you
smelled
fry
really
everything?
good. Oh, it smelled really good.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Everything survived perfectly, surprisingly.
Wow.
The amount
That's
of
good.
times like my pedals have survived water spillage, I should like sell them. They're indestructible.
Hell yeah, dude. We know a guy who makes them, so if you need them, let us know.
Give me that plug.
I can plug Justin's stuff. It's Freak Show here in Maine, in southern Maine. He's actually our theme music. He played our theme music. He's part of the band
right.
Trawl. It's local to us.
Rocks.
Okay.
So you said you're never Neil. You said that it doesn't feel like you're locked in. Well, it took 5 years to make this new album, right? So the last time was Ivy. 5 years and we were talking before we started recording how Ivy dropped like right when the pandemic started and you couldn't tour off it. So like 5 years to me, it seems like a long time, but for some bands, it's like that's short. So like what led to like now's the time for Downpour, the new album?
Like a million things.
Yeah.
A million things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got older, like you're not you're not in your early 20s or, not a college kid anymore. And there's just so much other things happening in life. And I remember at the beginning after COVID, I was like so fixated on like just pumping more music out. And everyone was kind of just busy doing their thing. Like Nick took like a break from the band, our drummer, and he was like a very important part of our band. And it kind of just felt like we were always forcing it, like we were just kind of like putting band-aids on things to keep it going. We kept touring and stuff, but we were playing at that point really old songs, So I got super burnt out doing that, I think. And then I don't know, there was just like a lot of factors at play. And then we booked studio time. Look.
Yeah. Oh, that's the catalyst. That's like, it's kind of like the forced to play the show in 4 days. It's like, all right, we got studio time. We got to pull this shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like that, but it was still like something I think we all wanted to do,
Yeah.
Like, I think we all get along, which like helps for a band, which kind of helps it stay together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like something that we were like dreading, I guess. It's just tough to do, like find the time and make it happen. And we wanted to record with Brett, and that is, 16, 17 hours away. So
we had to get ready.
It's a lot to like plan for it.
Yeah.
And we get that. If we were a band, we'd be on like every 7-year album cycle?
Yeah.
Or we'd be Tool. We'd be fucking Tool.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 years. I don't know. Or
they would want to put one out every 6 months.
And drop a surprise album or something. I don't know.
They would want to put one out every 6 months. Anthony would want to do one every decade, and I'd be somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think so Anthony's the one that would do it every 6 months, you said?
No, Nate.
Nate.
Nate would put one out tomorrow, the next day, the day after that. Like, let's do
Nate
it.
Nate doesn't like to check out new music, and he wants to do things fast. Me and Nate are very much the same.
Oh, man. Dude, speaking of the kind of time in between the last record and this record, so was this all net new? Like you guys wrote for this session, or were these songs that you said you were writing a lot during the pandemic? Was it kind of a picking from stacks for this record, or was it all net new?
Yeah, I think I did I went through it. I think 4 songs made it from like the first batch songs that I wanted to record. And then the rest were just fresh. And we did it. We got back from a US tour that we did with Pop Morgan and Free Throw and Just Friends. And we had a studio time booked literally, I think 7 weeks after that. So I got home and we just got after it. And then Nick was back, like Nick got back in the equation. And it was just a lot of sessions, like probably once or twice a week. And then we went with what we had, and we went with a lot of ideas and a lot of it we didn't even get to, when you're recording, and we already record ridiculously fast. Like a lot of bands will take like 3-4 weeks to record a record, and we booked like 12 days and
that's quick.
Yeah, we just don't have, we just never had that, but like that leisure or that budget to spend that, extra time. But it was nice having the first time we went in for like Ivy with Brett, we had exactly how many songs we recorded. So that's what we had, where this time we went in, we had like a lot to pick and choose from, I guess. And that's what we did,
Yeah. I mean, I wrote a ton of like the leads just there. I had like ideas and like I jammed to the songs and stuff, but like there's so much on that album that just like kind of happened at the studio. Which is fine but I like knew things were going to change, and I would have been preparing for something that wouldn't have existed anyway.
It's interesting because for us, like we're not in the studio. We see like, photos of people recording. There's always like the storyboard, marker board with like songs that you've tracked, the ones you're going to track later and whatnot. So it sounds like, for us, this record, we got, to listen to the advanced and whatnot. There's a lot of cohesion, but you're saying it wasn't all net new. So there's some from the old and new. It just shows that it is like a process to put the whole package together. Like those are old ideas, but they fit in what this theme of this record is, which is really cool.
For sure.
Yeah. Some of those demos like don't reflect the songs like at all at this point anymore, which is, I don't know, is, I think cool. I'm happy with the way all the songs sound. So I don't think that's a bad thing. But it's just interesting to see how the songs do develop and like the process changes them.
I think that's where like having a producer and an engineer that you like trust with your life, having that good relationship with, makes a better product. I see a lot of like peers and like fellow musicians that they get this thing, musicians like with demoitis is what you call it, where they get like so stuck, like this is going to be the song no matter what, you know? If you kind of get, you know, tunnel vision like that, you limit yourself, I feel like, from making a much bigger, better thing.
And you'll probably never finish either. You know, it's like you'll never let the paint dry. You'll just keep fucking painting over it, and you never finish. And I like what you said, Neil. It's like you wrote that stuff there. Like that was the product of that moment, and the end result was great. I mean, I'm sure there are other bands where that approach does not work at all. It's like they feel forced and rushed. You know.
I feel like a lot of the stuff I've written in the past, it's like the bones of like the parts are there. You know, kind of just like within the first 5 minutes anyway. So, you know, kind of just going like with instinct and writing that stuff there. I wasn't super worried about it and didn't feel like it was really,
It's just
I don't know, not something from me, you know, or inauthentic or just kind of like, you know, playing just because.
Just a bunch of fine tuning and tinkering.
Yeah. I don't know. And I kind of like, you know, just writing the part when everyone's there and kind of just seeing the initial reaction too, you know? Because sometimes I'll work on stuff in my house that I think rocks, and then everyone's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just nice to, you know, not waste time.
I feel like that's the most humbling thing in the band is when I like bring an idea to the guys and there's no one, you know, there's no one really like, you can tell by their faces. You're like, okay, well, I'll just put this one away, you know? Like,
they give a thumbs up in the group chat.
Hang on to that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait, that's all I'm getting.
Stick that one back in the oven for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned obviously having more stuff this time to choose from. What do you do with the stuff that doesn't make it? Do you hang on to it? Do you save it for another album? Does it just go away forever?
I guess to be determined. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff. I bet you some of those stuff will be, now that we completed that record and we saw what we made with this, there's a lot of great stuff that was like kind of in the oven that would be awesome to even push it farther. So I bet you we'll probably move a lot of those ideas, you know, to the next record. And I think some of those songs, I think they're good, but they were also, I feel like, safe in a way. And maybe it didn't like tickle my brain or fulfill me personally, but they're still good songs. So like we'll probably record something here at home, like fun, like an EP or like a short album, you know, and produce it ourselves just for fun. So those songs don't go away forever, but a lot of the stuff I think we'll push to the next thing.
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever like dead.
There's a big Google Drive full of Charmer in progress.
Ready
songs.
to go, baby. Get more stuff.
Yeah.
It's all untitled voice memos.
Yeah.
And I have to look at the time of year.
We're really good at like doing a session and then we're like, what do we want to name it? And we'll just name it something and then we'll never know how to find it because we named it like something absolutely stupid, you know? But yeah, they're there. They're in there somewhere.
I don't even think we've said the name of the album. It's the album. The new album that's coming out is Downpour. It comes out May 23rd on Counterintuitive Records. And I'm curious how you guys think about this and how you view it. But if you, like, we've spent a lot of time with the catalog and just kind of dissecting it. And so you have the self-titled, you get Ivy, and you get the new record. And you can see the leap. At least I can. I'm not saying you. I can see the leap from self-titled to Ivy. But then there's almost the same leap. Like just this level up, I think, from Ivy to Downpour, not only with the songwriting, but the production. David, I think you're more out front in this record. It's like clear. And I'm just curious how you guys view it. You know, do you feel it's like we just keep leveling up?
I can't speak for Neil, but I'm like significantly more confident as a musician. I think I really spent, you know, the past 5 years honing in my craft and also working with a ton of other musicians. You can learn so much from other talented people and take kind of those things and you know, implement them in your own writing and even work ethic practices, all that kind of stuff, tiny little tricks. And I think that helped me significantly with this one. And I feel the same way with that leap where it feels bad to say, but this is the first record of ours that I listen to, and I feel really good about it. Like I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I think this is good, you know. Whereas when I listen to our past work, I'm like, should have done this, should have done this, should have done this, you know, could have done that way better, you know, should have rewrote that. And that stinks because a lot of people, you know, your fan base or whoever follows you, you know, they love that stuff. So you don't want to like talk badly about it, but like,
true.
It just doesn't, it just like, I listen to it, I'm like, you know, like I would not like this band. And I love this new record. So I kind of just want to personally keep building off of that.
I think another big thing is like experience goes a long way. Like, you know, we recorded the first record with Jake and it was like really eye-opening. Like I never recorded like a whole album kind of in that like style really, or like how people record music. And it was still pretty like bare bones kind of setup that they had, which was, you know, cool. And we got the record. But then we like, you know, level up to like a big like actual studio and it's cool. And you learn stuff when you know, have like a producer that's a lot more hands-on than Jake. And then you come back and you've kind of like got that experience again where you have more of that like studio mind and like the way things work and you're not so like worried about like your time management. You should just be open to like the ideas and trying things because you have all the time to do it. I think that kind of like helps like the record sound better because you try more things and you end up with more ideas to pick from to make it sound better. Where like, you know, the second time around, we're like, oh, we're paying a ton of money for this. And like, you really want it to like sound like you and you like want the parts and like, you feel like there's a ton riding on it. And like, then you get a suggestion and you're like, well, I don't know. Like I feel like it has to be this way, you know? And this next time around, I think everyone was a little more kind of like, well, let's hear what like Brett has to say, you know, or, you know, what everyone has to say. I don't know. So no, I think that definitely has a little something to do with maybe the record feeling better than the older stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of it. I mean, even with the Ivy, like there was moments recording Ivy, and I love a good chunk of that record where I do still love the songs. But I remember even like being, you know, Neil and I laying next to each other in our little shitty bunkhouse, just being like all giddy because like we couldn't believe how we sounded. You know, like oh
of
wow,
course,
you know,
yeah.
like, we sound like a real band. You know. I'll never forget that feeling. You know, you kind of chasing those little like highs, you know, like life highs.
100%.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. With all things, right? But especially if you're creating something and wanting to put it out to the world, you want those little victories. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think a proponent of that, I guess, like you said, like honing in your craft, that sound, do you think that is a direct result of, I guess, touring, like playing rooms, like I guess critiquing your old work and being like, I actually eventually want it to sound like that. So these new songs I'm going to write are going to fit that. They're going to check that box because we're going to play that room again. We're going to play those venues. And I want that kind of that vibe.
I don't know if I've ever thought about it that way, about like the live performance.
Yeah. Well, you said you've been with other bands and you picked things up from other artists. Like, I just wonder how that translates, you know?
For sure. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's off the fly. I just kind of thought of it on the whim here.
No, for sure. I think I think a big wake up call was like we kept getting cool tour offers, even though we didn't have new music to support. And I just kind of found myself, I don't want to say dreading it, but like unenthused and not feeling like excited to play the material we had. So like when you have that mindset, like my body language probably was showing that, you know, on stage. And that's not, I mean, if you have people coming and excited to see it, that's not fair to anyone, you know? I just wanted to like create music that made me more fulfilled. I also like wanted to be, you know, badass on stage. Like who doesn't, you know, want to be like super cool rock band. So I think we definitely achieved that with the new record. We just like had our first rehearsal playing these songs like as a group literally yesterday. And I think I told the guys about it. I was like, that's the most fun I've had in this band in 5 years, you know, and that was like another like realization. I was like, okay, this is good, you know, this feels right.
Yeah.
Are there any chances on the record that you guys are proud that you took?
I don't know if we did crazy, like I don't know if we took any crazy chances.
We did like the I think we just did different stuff. I don't know. That nothing like gave me the fear.
Yeah.
I like that. No, I like that.
What
Confident.
about
man. That's
the
good.
big
But, like,
Moshi breakdown on track 8? No.
I mean, dude, there's definitely like stuff that's way different than the album, but like I personally just like enjoy it. I guess it, yeah. I guess, yeah, some people would hear it and be like, man, this is so different or whatever. And they might view it as a chance or a risk, but it's like not that much riding on it. It's just like art. And like, I think it sounds good. So it's, yeah, I don't view it as like a chance too much. We did different stuff though. And it was like, oh yeah, this is different.
All of us just have so much more. I could confidently say all four of us are into so much different music, and to be kind of like I'm trying to think of the word, kind of like pinned as a Midwest emo band, and for us to be a band like 10 years long, it's kind of like if you were to marry your like high school girlfriend, it's like
Oh yeah.
you go through phases in life, and music's no different. And I loved all that stuff when Charmer first started. I was listening to bands like You Blew It and like Del Paxton and like Brave Bird and Free Throw had like 2 EPs out, and I like fell in love with it. But just like anything else, you move on to the next thing. So there was definitely like that in the back of my head where we want to expand and do something that we enjoy, but also like not alienate everyone that supported us and allowed us to get to where we got, and we're still not a big band, but like there is a following.
Yeah, there are people that care, right?
Yeah, so like you don't want to just kind of, give them a middle finger and be like, oh, we're gonna be this band now, and be a whole new thing, that can be like, that could be career suicide in a lot of ways, and I've seen bands do that, and some bands have pulled it off, but like 90% of those bands did not,
Or it works for like one big tour that they get on, and then the new fans are casuals and they move on, and the core has abandoned them, so now they're in this no man's land, and then they do the walk of shame back to the scene. But yeah, I mean, when I listen to the record, to me it sounds definitely like you guys. It sounds more dialed in, and you guys sound more confident, if that makes sense.
For sure. Like I said, I felt more confident,
Yeah, it definitely comes through. And to that point of like wanting to do something different and not necessarily wanting to completely change the game and go, you're not deathcore now, but to do something different and broaden your horizon a little bit, but not alienate fans. Like all of these, and we're the more we do this and the more conversations we have with bands, we hear that all of these are kind of snapshots in time, right? You are the person you are the last year and a half putting this record together. You're not going to be that person in 3 years. You definitely weren't that person 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So be happy that this is the output that we get now, because it's phenomenal. Like, and there are times that doesn't work, but this is certainly still Charmer. It's leveled up. It's confident.
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think that's ultimately what we were trying to do. So if you think so, like, hopefully it works.
Yeah, all right.
No, the record's phenomenal. And you mentioned Brett, and for anyone that listens to this podcast,
they're sick of us. They're sick of us talking about it. Go ahead.
It is not intentional that so just David and Neil, we recently had Heart Attack Man, we've had Sunsleeper on, we've had Cliff Diver, Home Safe, Crime and Stereo is my favorite band. Like all these bands have worked with Brett.
He's a legend. Yeah.
And it's not intentional. It's the product of liking music in this world. And so you guys returned to him. And so that must have been good, right? It's a familiar face. You've worked with him before. Sure. Maybe this time you listen to him more, You
only meet so many people. Brett's the kind of person that's so charismatic that you can ask everyone and they'll say like, oh, we're best friends. Like he's just a very special human being. Like I don't want to suck Brett off too much on a podcast, but like he really is just like a phenomenal human, so talented. And a lot of the time it's just like keeping that energy, in the studio, because those days get long, someone encouraging and someone being as invested in your own work, that is not there for a big chunk of it, it really makes all the difference in the world. And I think it's very important. And you can go back and you'll find bands that like once they find the producer, you know, they stick with them. You know, it really just feels like in another member of the band. You know.
All right, let's pivot to a couple of tracks here. I want to hear you guys. What are your favorite tracks on the record?
Oof, how many can we name?
Yeah, name them all if you want to. I mean, I love them all too, but
Well, on your X account, you said every song is better than everything we've ever released.
I agree. Like I think there's some good songs on Ivy that like could, you know, I feel like could be on this album. Yeah, go toe to toe. But I do feel confident where like I remember when we were asking people in the past, I've always been like, it's been like a public forum where like we do it all in the same room where I was like, everyone just send me, you know, your favorite songs. And then I feel like that skews people's ideas, but like all four band members had a different pick for the first single, you know, the lead single. And then I asked our manager, Kevin, he had a different one than those four. I asked Jamie, our PR person, she had a different one. And then our label person, Jake, he had a different one. And I was like, well, I think that's a really good, you know.
Yeah, they just co-signed the whole record, basically.
the whole thing's good, guys. Yeah.
So when I saw that happen, I was like, that's phenomenal, you know. And then I had the bandmates like send a list of five, and they were all drastically different. I think there was one song that made all of our lists, and there was only one song out of, you know. So that is good. Like,
so what's your favorite? Now that we're in this like in between,
let's go.
We're in this in between stage where you get the record recorded, it's all packaged up, ready to go, but the world hasn't heard it. So it's like, this is from you without any fan influence. I'm curious, like
changes.
It changes, yeah.
I really like you guys. So they've listened to it then, yeah, like everything.
What's that?
They've listened to everything.
Yeah,
it was the whole record probably 10 times.
I feel like Golden is definitely one of my favorite songs we've ever done.
Oh, it's called Gallic Gun.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I was like, that must be like.
I was like, shit, I don't have that one. Let me
it's so many working titles.
This is the working. This is like the Converge riff song or something.
We've heard that one. Yeah.
So like that song, I really think is cool, and yeah, I wanted that song to be the first song on the album. So
it was either going to be the really first or the last.
But yeah, I think we do some special things there that
we've obviously not done before.
Just feel unique and special, I guess. You know, they're just cool. I don't know. If I heard just that song playing, like my friend was listening to it, I would definitely pay attention to it and be stoked on it.
It's a cool closer too. I think it would work as an opener, but it's a cool closer.
It was so close to being the opener.
Really interesting.
In two of the sequences we made, it was the opener. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you're able to have a song that you could put in either spot, because typically those are pretty different types of songs, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's cool that one could have fit both places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things that changed, and also Brett was a big influence in that, and I love how it shaped up.
Question on sequencing, now that you mentioned it, like, is that another kind of voting process, like democratic, or is it like
not really voting? You kind of I thought I for sure had the sequence, and then we sequenced it, and I was like, this is not it. Like, this is not the flow. And I think we made 4 or 5 of them, and Brett helped me with that. And then I didn't even send the other sequence. I just sent the sequence that is the sequence to the guy, like the band. I was like, I think this is it. And everyone was like, this makes sense, you know, total sense.
Yeah, there wasn't any like contention there. I feel like we were just like, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Because otherwise, I mean, that conversation could go on forever, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the 7-year album cycle. Like the last 2 years are
just sequencing,
dicking around
I
with the
think
sequencing.
I counted by myself a little bit because I didn't get the opener, but
yeah. But you got the closer. People react to closers too. You got the closer.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
I was so dead set. So Linger and Blink on the album were originally like, when I wrote it, was one song. Yeah. And I was like, they have to be back to back on the record. Like, that is set in stone. And Brett was just like, no.
David, that's not
like,
it. Sorry.
And I was like, okay. And it took me a long time to be like, fine.
But he's right.
But he was 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it works. And live, we're going to play it back to back. And
there you go.
So it works.
Take the power back a little bit, right?
We played like 5 of these songs, right?
Yeah.
I think Night is probably like one of the most fun songs we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like different, I guess.
Just cruises.
I think at a glance it doesn't seem too challenging, but like when you're in the driver's seat trying to do it, there's like a lot of like different things going on, and it's fun.
I think it's our most traditional song we've ever written. Structurally.
Interesting. I gravitated towards it on the first couple of listens just because I liked the idea of being in the car with it on, like I was like, this just feels right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, I like that one's a cool one. I think Watercolor might be my favorite, which is, later in the album. I'm not sure why, but there's a feeling I get listening to it that just it's the one for me.
No, that's the one. That's one that I was hesitant to put on the record because it's a little like bubblegum in ways for me. But also, I also could acknowledge that it had something going on. It's originally Mercury. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta translate it for Neil.
I mean, I still refer to all of it as those titles too. And then when I'm not talking to like my bandmates, they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I mean, but this has been the case for like every release we've ever done.
Like our set list will be written with like the working titles.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
And a fan's gonna get the set list like,
Exactly.
what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, like, I didn't hear any of these songs
If
tonight.
we even have a set list on stage.
Yeah.
Set list FM's gonna be like not played, not played, not. Oh wait, was played.
Non-album. Where are you guys at with Medicine?
I love that song to death.
Love it.
I do. I really do. I made it. I built that song on a drum machine loop originally. And then I don't know, it just brought out obviously a different energy of the band. And I love Neil and I's like back and forth vocals in it. And it's just got some tension to it that I love. And then Brett made some awesome production choices on Neil's guitar.
Some of those effects that we use were really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we use like a ricochet pedal, which I don't really know what it does. I think when you hit it, it like pushes the octave like 2 times as high or something. So that's like that cool, like almost like siren sounding thing you hear there.
I'll have to listen to that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's got a little edge to it. It's fast paced. Yeah, I love that. That was a big standout for me is Medicine.
What songs are you excited to play? I know you're playing with Arm's Length here in early June for about a week.
I'm excited to play all of them.
All the new songs for sure.
I'm going to try to push as many new songs into the set list until the end of the time. We'll see if I get my way. I honestly, like, I want to make sure they're like ready to perform live. Because it is going to be interesting that like we're not going to get really a trial run. We're going to be playing these, to a sold out crowd at the Bottom Lounge in Chicago. It's like a pretty big room, and there's going to be a lot of energy. Like I feel so good about it. Usually I like have a lot of anxiety going into it, and like I've never felt this calm and collected and excited. But I think we'll play as many songs as we feel like we have them where we want them to be, like live. I don't know why I'm such a stickler, but I don't want to play like backing tracks, and like I don't like being contained or anything like that. I like just feeling like the noise on stage and being able to feel it in your body and stuff like that. So if we can pull it off with the 4 of us, and get it to where we want it, we'll be playing it.
Well, at that point, the record will have been out for 2 weeks, and I don't know what you guys like. For me, if it's a band I love, 2 weeks, I know all the lyrics. If it's
Perfect.
a band I love, 2 weeks,
Perfect.
I know all of them.
That's what we need.
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm in Maine. I can't help you there. So.
And I think the closest you guys come with Arm's Length is New York, which would be very tough for us.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's no shorter than what you guys had to drive to go see anybody.
Oh, with Arm's Length.
Yeah. We are going to be playing in Boston. That's not announced yet on that Sunday after that tour.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
all right.
nice.
Good to know. That might be doable. That's only a couple hour drive.
We can cut this, or I don't know if the timing lines. Who's it with?
We're gonna just headline and
Nice.
like a counterintuitive like showcase show.
Cool.
Oh, sweet.
We're putting it on, and I think Jake's gonna put some cool locals on it,
Nice.
like a cool DIY like warehouse like maybe 200 cap. Like it's just gonna be a fun show.
I wonder if that's the same place that Hard to Gold played. We talked to Grant about that. It was
Oh, that's a band I really enjoy.
Yeah, they're cool. We had Grant on earlier
Warehouse
this year.
XL, right? Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
that place.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
That's a couple hour drive for us. That might be doable.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I know Nate will want to go, so he wants to go to a show every night too. After we put out an episode every day, so
Yeah, I need shows. When I'm not working, shows, I want to see shows. So that's kind of like my thing right now.
You just love it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's probably why you don't check out new music.
He's too
I don't have
busy.
time.
He's
No
too
time.
fucking busy.
He's a busy guy. So yeah, you've got those shows with Arm's Length. Are you gonna do anything else maybe later in the summer, or if you got stuff for the fall maybe lined up? You don't have to tell us per se, but if you've got, you can hint at it if you'd like.
Yeah, we're waiting. I'm very picky nowadays with what we pick up. We've had a couple offers come in, and I just want to, when we go out, I want to make it like worth it. You know, I think there's a fine line to obviously like playing too much, and we're not close to that. Don't get me wrong, but when we go out, I want to make sure they count.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of waiting for like the right opportunities to kind of come in, and there will be 100% something later in the year.
Nice.
Well, yeah. What do we got? We have like Pug Fest.
Yeah,
We got to play
we're doing-
downstate.
Yeah, we're doing like a little festival in Ferndale, like Detroit area. That'll be like the week after that.
And then maybe a local show.
Yeah, we haven't played local here. Our buddy Zach did an awesome skate video, and we played the premiere of that. And that was our first time playing in Marquette in probably 3 years. And that was in 2022 or one. I don't remember. And that was the last time we played locally.
It's time. Get back out on the local scene, man,
Yeah.
Show the UP what's up.
and then come play Portland. I mean, why not?
I mean, I would like to just hang.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of bands in the UP right now that might
Mhm.
show us what's up.
Yeah, UP's rocking with good music right now.
Nice.
That's crazy because do you have any? I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but like there probably aren't a ton of people there. It's probably similar to what we have, right? Like it's cold there a lot of the year, and
So much less. We have 20,000 people.
yeah, so that's
Oh,
wild that
damn.
all you are.
Like 7,000 students, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, it's wild that there's so much music coming out of there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Play the college. They get that college money.
Oh, Liquid Mike just did that. It's always nice to get that college money.
Always, baby. Yeah, tuition.
You guys got any schools out there?
Big
We
budget.
do. Yeah. There's a couple schools. We should figure this out. We should find a way. We should find a way to start getting bands to come our way.
We got Teen Suicide to come out here from Boston or no, from
Baltimore or something.
Baltimore, and I think they got like 10 grand from the school, and they literally just drove there, played the show, and drove back.
Wow.
Nice. That's
Which
awesome.
is like 17 hours.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, that college
That was
is real.
that was in 2015.
We have 3 well-to-do Division III schools that used to do this a lot, and we should pitch it to them. Like, let's start doing this again.
Yeah, find the student. Yeah, find that student
I would
organization.
love to go to Maine.
Summertime, especially, it's great up here.
Have
Yeah.
you been, Neil? Have you been to Maine?
No, but like I love fishing and like I listen to tons of Stephen King. So
That's the place.
yeah, I feel like
Head
I
up to
want to go
Bangor.
to a place that people say is just like the place I live in. I guess
It is similar, I think. Yeah. I would assume. I've never been to the UP, but I've been to Michigan.
I hear there's like tons of kinship for sure. So
My aunt was from Michigan, so I feel I've been a Michigan football fan my whole life because of her, and I feel a little bit of a kinship with your state. So
oh yeah,
And Detroit was cool. We went there in the fall.
we
I'd
were
go
there last
back.
fall. Yep,
Detroit rocks. I love Detroit.
we had a blast. Cool. Well, the record comes out. I think we're going to drop this very close to it, but it's probably not out just yet. But it's out on 5/23 on Counterintuitive. It's called Downpour. Charmer, you guys are awesome. This has been a lot of fun. We are really excited for the record to drop and people to hear it because we are super high on it.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate this, and you guys are great.
yeah, it was fun.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. The record's awesome. I have said this recently, but with some recent combos, but it's a contender for album of the year. I know it's super early, but it's up there already. And we listen to it. I'm listening to music all day. Like it's really good.
Nice.
It's super dialed. It's you guys. Anyone who's familiar with you guys, it's through and through you guys, but it's dialed, it's leveled up, it's got some polish to it. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
We didn't even have to sacrifice that goat.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks guys for joining us tonight, and we're excited for all that's coming down the pike in 2025 for Charmer.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
soon.
Cool.
See you in Boston.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.